Now everybody loves a rags to riches story, but what about the story of a man who hailed from a small little town, a village town, and went on to become the leader of the second largest population in the world? I'm talking about our PM, Mr. Narendra Modi. Now, with big powers come big responsibilities, but with big powers also comes a lot of perks. So we've collected what we think are 4 of India's finest luxury saloons on offer to find out which is the befitting chariot for our PM.
Our journey begins right here from the Vadnagar railway station, where it all began for Narendra Modi, where he'd come as a little boy and sell tea with his dad. And we're gonna drive all the way to the national capital, New Delhi. And along the way we're gonna find out, is the BMW indeed the right choice for our leader? Should he look at other German alternatives from Audi and Mercedes? Or should he indulge himself in the back seat of a Jaguar?
Unlike most of our test drives, this one requires me to sit in the back seat and lounge about. Now, we don't really expect our Prime Minister to drive his own limousine, right? And to be quite honest, with the cars we have for company today, I don't really quite mind. So I'm going to be doing most of my talking from back here. Now you must remember that the cars we have here, they've all got more powerful iterations available in the market as well. They're also all easily customizable to equip them with the latest bulletproofing and armory as well. But what we've got here are the more sober and grounded versions of these cars. So we've got 3 diesels and we've got 1 petrol hybrid. Anyways, let's start talking about the Jaguar XJL. If we wanted our Prime Minister to get out of the best looking car, I think we'd all unanimously agree it would have to be the Jaguar XJL. Now, it's not an all new car, it's just been upgraded, but it still continues to be quite youthful and exuberant. I think the closest second that I would say comes to the Jaguar XJL is the new S-Class. But the more you think about it, I think the Jaguar XJL is the kind of car that a young CEO would buy. But a Prime Minister like Narendra Modi, well, I'm not too sure. So the other 3 cars we have are German cars. This one, the Jaguar XJL, is a British car that is well owned by an Indian company. You get what I'm hinting at, right? Politics is all about the statements that you make, and if the Prime Minister wanted to play the indigenous card, he would want the Jaguar XJL in his fleet. The XJL has always been more of a driver's car in this segment, but I especially love the interiors. You know, just the way you're wrapped around in great textures, colors, materials. There's a nice flow to the design. The only thing that I think it lacks compared to the other cars is interior space. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm just being relative, but this is supposed to be the long wheelbase version, but that length doesn't really translate into that much space. Especially when I recline my rear seat, the legroom does seem just a little bit compromised.
Jaguar is no stranger to driving royalty around. It is the only automotive manufacturer to be conferred with 3 royal warrants by the Queen of England, and is the official motoring partner of the coronation ceremony. Now, since it's been taken over by an Indian company, it would be apt that the XJL, the best Jaguar has to offer, be a part of the Indian Prime Minister's fleet. But the Germans are in no mood to take it lying down, and they have 3 excellent arguments as to why the most important automobile in India should be German. And the first one starts with the letter A.
Before we begin talking about the A8L, it's important to understand that this test car isn't a standard spec car. It's got a lot of optional extras loaded into it. But to begin with, it has a lot going for it. Now, the A8L, which is Audi's flagship luxury saloon, has a lot of its technology from Audi's Le Mans winning technology. For example, the matrix LED lights that it has, the brilliant CDI engine technology, diesel engine technology, and of course the Quattro all-wheel drive system, which, by the way, is the only all-wheel drive system amongst all the cars here. Now, when compared to the other cars, when you're sitting in the back seat of the A8L, it seems that you're in control. I mean, look at the number of controls on this panel. It's almost like you're controlling the whole car. It's like this is the Starship Enterprise and you're Captain Kirk who's sitting in the back and controlling the whole ship. Quite cool actually. This 3-litre TDI engine isn't the most powerful of this lot, but it's quite peppy and energetic, and Rishad here tells me that it's quite a hoot to drive as well. So if the Prime Minister had these occasional urges to get behind the pilot seat, I'm quite sure that he'd appreciate the A8L. And well, if not, then it's customary that he hires Jason Statham as a chauffeur.
Unlike the Jaguar's flourish, Audi prefers a more understated but powerful design language. The exterior design follows a straight and flat theme, and it's a simple yet muscular form. Now, if the PM wants to be discreet but travel in comfort, the A8L may be the right car. But sometimes, it's just a little bit too subtle. Come 2016 and there will be a new A8L, which brings me to the question, should our leader not have the freshest and the just minted?
Now what we have with us today is not just the new 7 Series, but this is BMW's new ActiveHybrid 7. That's right, this is a hybrid, and it's the only hybrid that we've got today. It's the only hybrid in this segment. Now, like I was telling you before, politics is about making statements, and well, what better a statement than the Prime Minister doing his bit to save the planet by driving in a hybrid. Not to mention the fact that he's pledging his allegiance to hybrid technology, and well, God only knows that the Indian automotive industry could really use that from our government. Now, just because it's a hybrid doesn't have to mean that it's a slouch. Well, haven't you heard of the P1 or the 918 or the LaFerrari? So believe it or not, the ActiveHybrid 7 is the fastest car that we've got here today. So if our Prime Minister had to get away from those annoying media people and not us, we are the cool ones, I think he'd be better off in the ActiveHybrid 7. Now I know that BMWs are predominantly driver's cars, but I have to say that I'm actually quite happy being in the back seat here. And that's because the ride quality has really impressed me. Now for a BMW, the ActiveHybrid 7 really rides quite smoothly. And I know that this is the only petrol car that we have here today, but this cabin is just completely oblivious to any noise from the outside. Now the ActiveHybrid 7 version of the 7 Series does come packed with a lot of features in the front, like you have pedestrian alert and you have night vision, but here in the back seat it doesn't get as many features as I would have liked. It doesn't get as many features as the other cars in this segment.
And there's my grouse with the Braum from Bavaria. The insides of the 7 Series just don't feel special enough. Now make no mistake, it is an extremely well-built interior, but unfortunately, it feels like any other premium BMW cabin. Now, if I'm the Prime Minister of the world's biggest democracy, I'd like my car's insides to be more than just high quality. I'd like them to be special, and special starts with an S.
Now all the cars that we have here today are new cars, but while the others have just received updates, the S-Class is an all-new car, and we know what happens when a new S-Class is launched. It sets benchmarks. It maps out a route that the whole automotive industry as a whole gets inspired by, and the new generation S-Class is no different. Now in the other cars, you'll find a lot of things that they share along with other cars in their portfolio. But with the new S-Class, you can be sure of one thing, and that is there is nothing like the S-Class yet. Now I'm sure that this is the direction that most Mercedes-Benz cars will be following soon. If Mercedes want to call their interiors a lounge rather than the interiors of a car, we won't actually blame them, because that's what we'd call it too. The interiors are possibly the best that we have amongst the cars that we have today. And well, I'd go as far as saying that the rear seats are most definitely the most comfortable amongst this lot. Now the S500L gets captain seats which just take it to another level altogether. They're like high-tech lazy boys. Oh, and we absolutely have to talk about the ambient lighting. I mean, the other cars also have it, but in the S-Class, it just feels that you're sitting in a Pink Floyd Pulse concert, especially at night. Now, quite frankly, there's hardly anything to choose between these cars when it comes to ride quality. They're all absolutely great, but I think the S-Class just manages to edge past them just slightly.
If a Prime Minister likes his music, I'm sure he'll absolutely fall in love with the Burmester sound system in the S. It is definitely the best sound system we've ever heard in a car. The S-Class isn't as loud as the others and is actually actively conservative in styling. But that's just the skin. The interior is anything but staid. It will spoil you silly. You'll want to have an S-Class parked inside Racecourse Road just so that you can work out of it instead of a room. And what seals the deal is that it offers more equipment, more gadgets and more comfort than the others while being priced in the same ballpark. Not that the Prime Minister of India ever has to worry about the price. Oh wait, he should, because that's our money, you and me, the taxpayer. While I get over the fact that I was driven in 4 of the ultimate examples of motoring luxury, from 4 of the world's best creators of luxury cars for over 900 kilometers, let me remind you of the purpose of this test. This isn't your average overdrive test. What we've concerned ourselves with is that one mobile chair in which matters of national importance are thought and discussed. The seat of power.
Now, if nothing, the story of Narendra Modi ought to inspire the common man that much like he was ambitious enough to move from being a tea seller to becoming the Prime Minister of our nation, they too could move from buying small, cheap hatchbacks to these epitomes of automotive technology. After driving 900 kilometers in the backseat of all 4 cars, I'd have to say that for our Prime Minister, we'd have to suggest that the new S-Class would be the car for him. Now, he deserves a car that has the title of the best car in the world. Besides, it's an all-new car. Now, whether or not he takes our advice on this, if he's watching this, I'm sure he'd be wishing that his journey from Vadnagar to New Delhi would have been as smooth as ours.